The wall of light built by disciples of Saint Germain through the power of directing electronic substance by human thought can be constructed to meet many human protective needs, personal or national, but it cannot be built for any selfish reason. Therefore, it can be said the wall of light can be built only by adepts or by disciples in training and affiliated with hierarchical interest. It is always a product of the forces of light acting directly or through disciples. This is a protection because it would be extremely inconvenient and impractical if persons with less than honest intent could build a wall of light which might be detrimental to the constructive interests of others. On the other hand, the tube of light described in a later chapter can and should be built by everyone for self-protection. The Tesla anti-war machine is a stepped-down utilitarian version of the wall of light as constructed by adepts and disciples. The light which is utilized in the Tesla invention is related to certain ray frequencies, but since the curtain of light is produced by an electrical mechanism, it can be used without the understanding or even the support of the people within the nation which is being protected. The way of light built by adepts and disciples, without the use of any mechanical devices, but only by controlled and directed thought power, must be maintained. It must be strengthened almost hourly by feeding into it visualized energies. It demands focused attention from groups of disciples, for it must be kept firmly anchored to earth and must be kept free from rents or weak spots. The wall is actually anchored ray energy, and since it is in the nature of all flame to rise, the wall would simply disappear and return to the source if the attention of the disciples was removed for any length of time. Saint Germain requested the American disciples to construct this wall of light in order to protect this nation from direct attack by the forces of darkness operating in other nations, and also to lessen the activities of the dark forces within the United States. The wall of light served the desired purpose during the years of the so-called phony war in Europe, which finally exploded in World War II. But the black magicians opposing Saint Germain finally took their activities away from the mainland of the United States and concentrated on Hawaii, where they succeeded in conniving with black magicians in Japan to arrange the attack on Pearl Harbor. Neither the dark forces within the United States nor those working outside the country were able to break the wall of light and stage a direct attack. Therefore, the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor was devised in order to draw this nation into World War II. Had the Tesla anti-war machine been used as Tesla planned, the entire question of attack would have been brought out in the open, on the physical plane. The American people could have been assured of their safety and could have remained within the protected borders of the country until the European storm blew over. Moreover, England had been offered the Tesla anti-war machine and could have utilized it in the same protective manner. There was no reason whatsoever for either Britain or America to have been drawn into the challenging activities of the forces of darkness. There was no reason except stupidity, that is. The American people, had they heard of the so-called mystical activities of Master Saint Germain's disciples and of the Wall of Light, would have laughed out loud. The very people who would have laughed then are the ones who are laughing today at the ideal of spaceships. They are the people who would like to laugh at Tesla if they dared. Not daring to come out openly against Tesla, they have managed to keep his name out of school books and his theories out of university science courses. The actual reason that Tesla's scientific methods are not taught is because colleges cannot find professors who understand Tesla. Why do they not train them? Because the adoption of Tesla's inventions will disturb the status quo. They will offer a whole new way of life. They will upset churchianity and in fact abolish it. They will make the establishment of Christianity possible and desirable, and in that term they mean Christianity versus churchianity, the real Christ-like worship of Jesus and what he stood for. They will cast political conniving into oblivion. They will make the present economic system look exactly like the silly thing it is. Darkness never wins out over light in the long run, and if there is a seeming victory, it is but temporary. So the forces of darkness, conniving with their colleagues within the United States, smashed at Pearl Harbor on December the 7th, 1941. The attack was carefully planned, but not by the Japanese people. They stood only to lose, not to gain. How much they have lost the world now knows, and perhaps someday the Japanese people will have the courage to probe the depths of their side of the story of how they flew into Hawaii with a gun at their backs, and with everything all set and prepared in advance for swift destruction. Out through Saint Germain's Great Wall of Light, American battleships then sailed forth to their destiny. American aircraft flew through the wall and out upon their unknown missions. The great Tesla, the incomparable genius whose inventions might have prevented this world tragedy, sat in his hotel suite prepared to wind up details of his physical plane work and take up his new activities in Shambhala. The dove had returned to him for a final farewell. She told him she was going to shed her physical body, but that when the appointed hour came, she would return for him, and together they would go to Sanat Kamura's headquarters at the White Island of Shambhala, now located in the etheric realms over the Gobi Desert. Even in those days and the little time left to him on earth, Tesla did not forget the hundreds of companions of his twin ray, the white dove. Over a long period of time, Tesla had fed thousands and thousands of pigeons in New York, our wood doves and rock doves. In constant care and tenderness, he had ministered to birds that were sick or injured. During the years that Otis Carr was in training, he assisted Tesla daily with the feeding of the pigeons in Bryant Park around the cathedral and in other areas. Carr often went out into the parks and gathering all ailing or injured birds, bringing them back to Tesla's hotel room. Tesla fabricated splints for their broken wings or broken legs, ministered to their various ailments, and kept them in his room until they were ready to fly again. It was around the year of 1940 when Tesla, in the presence of a witness, told John O'Neill the beautiful and magnificent love story of his life, his love for the white dove. Tesla describes her last farewell. She flew into his room in the dark of the night when he was deep in meditation. They had a long conversation, and it was then that she told him she was going to die and that she would not come to him again. Then she flew to the windowsill and stood there gazing at Tesla sitting alone in the darkened room. Suddenly, said Tesla, from her eyes came great sweeping rays of light, powerful, dazzling, blinding light more intense than he had ever produced in any laboratory. His listeners remained utterly silent as he paused to remember. I loved that dove, he said softly. She was a white female with a touch of gray in her wings. I loved her as a man loves a woman. In speaking of O'Neill about the farewell, Tesla omitted all references to the actual identity of the dove and to their plans to go to Shambhala, for O'Neill would not have understood. He did tell O'Neill that after the dove's last visit he knew that he would not remain long on earth. O'Neill's esoteric knowledge was so limited that he completely missed the significance of the dove's farewell. He was utterly confused, as he stated later when he related the incident to friends, about the phrase which Tesla used in describing the depths of his love. I loved her as a man loves a woman. But in the light of later revelations as to the identity of the white dove, it is clear that Tesla was using the only words he could use to describe his twin ray.